Welcome everyone to Tequila Tuesday with me, your host, Rabbi Drew Kaplan of Jewish Drinking, and my local Mezcal maven and tequila titan, Eric Schwartzberg. I love my alliteration. We have not one, but actually two tequilas for our consideration today. We have from Tekiah, we have a Blanco, and we also have a Reposado. So we're going to first start off, so this Tekiah, which is kosher certified by the Orthodox Union. Tekiah, which is clearly a playoff of words from tequila. It sounds a lot like tequila that we blast in the shofar, Rosh Hashanah. So we're going to kick off with this Blanco, which doesn't have, at least to my mind, doesn't have a lot on the nose. I mean, there's a little bit.
A little bit of agave, cooked agave.
Yeah, it's like a hint of cooked agave. It's not a whole lot on the nose, but on the palate, once one imbibes it, the first thing I noticed in a very pleasant fashion was the oiliness of it. Right. It was pleasant mouth. It had a very pleasant mouthfeel, although that did dissipate by the back of the palate. Like it definitely the front, even mid palate had a nice oiliness to it, but by the back of the palate, much of that had dissipated.
Yeah, I find it interesting that the oiliness. Sometimes the oiliness builds in some particular expressions. This ended up holding its own in the beginning, and then sort of, like you said before, dissipating.
Yeah, and I found, first of all, there's some peppery notes, as Eric mentioned, some touch of cooked agave in this. Overall, though, it's fine. Like I would say it's very inoffensive. I don't think even a casual tequila drinker or even a really novice tequila drinker would really be bothered by it. Yeah, there's some spice, especially towards the end.
It had its own balanced flavors with nothing in there that I said, oh my gosh, I'm picking up this, sweetness that's just unnatural. There wasn't anything unnatural to me about this. It was all straight agave.
Yeah, and I think this would be, to be honest, I think this would be a great introduction, like especially someone who's less familiar with Blanco tequilas. I think this could be this is very palatable for a wide variety, especially of beginner palates.
Yeah, this is a great way to open the door for anyone who's really looking at tequila and going, I've got a really bad story. Back in college, I had too much of this brand or that brand that might be on the shelves and might have the initials starting with a J.
Cheers on the first one. L'chaim to the Blanco.
L'chaim.
So moving on, we then have this Reposado. So this Reposado on the nose, it already has a lot more going for it than the Blanco. The first of which, sure, it's got, it's oaky, but there's two things that really stand out to me. The first of which is more cooked agave on the nose than the Blanco, which surprised me. The other which is a touch of menthol, and that's going to be a recurring theme throughout this Reposado. But it had more of a nose right off the bat than the Blanco. And then for me, also mouthfeel-wise, the oiliness mentioned on the Blanco that dissipated, this has a really pleasant oiliness that remains throughout the palate experience.
And the surprise for me was I'm much more of a Blanco guy. I'll take the Reposados. The Reposados to me will mellow out some of the notes of the Blancos, and I like a lot of the notes that the Blancos impart from the get-go. This actually, to me, brought a lot of the agave more somehow to the forefront.
Yeah.
And Drew was kind of surprised when I said this earlier, I think, that I actually prefer the Reposado to the Blanco for that reason.
Yeah, definitely on a character. Delicious, very pleasant mouthfeel throughout of the oiliness. The menthol note that's sort of there in the nose, definitely in the palate, really I think becomes quite pronounced and remains for quite some time on the finish. So you're left with this minty mentholiness, sort of like coolness, which is actually really fascinating. And again, and I know I'm picking up on what Eric said about the Blanco, really no heavy vanilla-ness. Even with this barrel time, it's not overly.
There might be a little bit there, but not as much as, like I said, other brands where you might have an artificial thing. There's not that in this.
And it's really wonderful all around. And Eric had a line about the whiskey drinkers.
This would be a good way to go ahead, and I was saying to Drew before, was to introduce somebody to tequila rather, who's a whiskey drinker, who might be a little bit more cautious or not necessarily ready to go down the rabbit hole when it comes to Blancos. they might take a sip of this and go, this reminds me of something in the whiskey world, and it's a little bit more approachable to them that way, without leading them to Blanco first and then being a little off-put by some of the flavors that Blanco can impart.
Yeah, so this is contrasting the Blanco with more of an introductory Blanco tequila drinker. The Repo might really have a target demographic of whiskey lovers. This is really a tequila for, I think, whiskey lover, but it's pleasant really for anybody, even for hardened tequila lovers, even for Blanco lovers. This Reposado really shines. I find this sweetness that's also coming throughout. It's really pleasant, and I'm not sure there's a wrong time of year to drink this. It can shine really in any weather, whether it's the depths of the winter or, I think it would be incredible spring and fall. This is a really lovely Reposado. With both of these, really, first of all, they're lovely designs, especially for the people in your life who are, I don't know, they have really strong Jewish pride. I think also it'd be really, going along with the name, could be a really great Rosh Hashanah present gift, or just to have on your table or other celebrations during Rosh Hashanah. It could be a really timely gift. Of course, if there were a larger bottle, I'm sure they could market it as a Tekiah Gedola.
and there's some brands also, it's very interesting, you mentioned about marketing.
Yeah.
Some brands that have the hashgacha hidden on the back in a smaller print, this puts it right out there for everybody to see, which is nice.
With that, thank you so much for watching, and l'chaim.
L'chaim. Salud.